Ohio State and Notre Dame, two of the giants in the sport, of course, right now and historically, they get together very rarely. 95, 96, the last two games in the regular season against each other. Is this the start of a series as league members? Of course,
I was going to say, I think I know where this is headed.
Yes. Will this happen? Should it happen? Where are you on all that?
So I like your segue there. That's a professional move by you. Good move there, Mark. The other reason the Notre Dame Ohio State opening game is very intriguing now is not only like you're talking about maybe a potential in conference situation, but Notre Dame and Ohio State are overlapping for a lot of top talent on the recruiting trail now. They're going after a lot of those same guys. Last week, Jason Moore, great defensive lineman. Notre Dame was second in that battle. Thought they were going to land him a long time. So that's the other reason this ball game's interesting is there's a lot of overlap there in those recruiting battles. And who knows if those kids are going to look at that game and help it inform their decision. So that's an interesting overlap with Notre Dame in these conferences. If you asked me, and a lot of people have, a few years ago, what do you think of Notre Dame joining the Big Ten? Then I go off on my rant, Fielding Yost blackballed us, 100 years ago, screw them. Then what do you do about USC? All this different stuff. The discussion's changed, Mark. The Big Ten's changed. And now I think you're seeing some Notre Dame people be a lot more open to this idea with the new look Big Ten than we would have been before. And I understand it in a lot of ways. Under the dynamic of what it looks like, Notre Dame should be able to maintain most of their biggest rivalries. USC's the biggest one, and they would be in conference. Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, in-state Purdue, Penn State, all of that. So you would be able to have your rivalries. That's a big deal to Notre Dame. Coast to coast is a big deal. Well, you're going to hit the East Coast. You got South Bend, Chicago, and then you got LA. So you're still able to hit coast to coast, right? Playoff access. We don't know quite what it's all going to look like when this is all done, but you would guarantee yourself you don't have an extra flaming hurdle to clear as an independent to get in. And then, oh, by the way, there's the other fact of making $100 million a year instead of $20 million a year on your TV deal to be able to compete, infrastructure, resources, and all that. So when you look at that dynamic, I philosophically ask, what's Notre Dame really giving up at that point other than the label of being independent? It looks like you could get most of all of the most important stuff to us. You would be able to maintain. And so I think that has people a little more open to this than they would have been before. And then on the other side is it even feasible to stay independent at that point? How would you be able to build a competitive enough schedule? How do you compete making $20 million a year on your TV deal when other teams have 100? So there's some practical things in the way for the maintaining of independence as well. But that USC thing, Mark, that is just dangling right in front of us. Like, that was a big deal. It opens up LA, maintains that, don't have to give them up. That is a big selling point. If I had to guess, Swarbrick, Notre Dame's AD, chills out for a year or two. Let the other pieces move. Let this become more structured. Maybe get information on what the playoff path and access is going to require. Then, at that point, make a decision. And I think, I honestly, I think it might be joining the Big Ten.